the conversation shift from, oh, you have to survive, to what is possible for you? What could you do with what you know, or what you could possibly learn? And then actually right then it was funny because my wife signed up for his coaching program, which is the high performance coaching model. She wanted to do that, and I was like, no. I had a big ego at that time, or I probably still do, but but I was like, you know what? I'll figure it out on my own. You take the program. And then when we came back, she's like, no, you do it. She changed her mind. And then I went towards the coaching realm, and I didn't know I was going to be a coach. I just wanted to train, and I wanted to talk about this stuff. Right. But then coaching became a part of my life, and then I started this business. And then the reason I'm going in length into this is, the important thing is that no matter what I went through, and I always thought about this, how do people leave everything and just start a new life? How do people do it? And I always imagine it'd be extremely scary. And there's a fear that almost a lot of my clients talk about, like the fear of unknown, as if that was an actual thing. It doesn't exist. Here's what the actual fear is. The fear is the fear of what we project onto the unknown. So what are we projecting? Whatever thoughts were given by the society. Or if you quit your job, you might be on the street. If you this is a good paying, stable job, this is a great career. But they never talk about what's possible for the person if they started a business and they did $1 million. If they start a business, they start contributing to society. Nobody talks about it because nobody looks at it in terms of possibility. Right. And I think in my coaching, one of the things that I've focused on more than anything else, to allow people to see the possibility of what they could create. And as soon as we change the conversation towards possibility, then it changes everything. It changes how we feel. It changes how we act. It changes what we can do. And this is why dreams are important. This is why it's important what you go towards. This is why it's important what we express. And all that stuff come together. And I have no idea why I went towards this. What was the question?
I don't know, but I'm going to roll with this because I'm thinking about how easy it is for people to go down the negative rabbit hole. And it's really unfair. I don't like the question, what if? Because it trapped me in fear for so many years of my life. Because usually when people say, what if, it usually is a negative path, like as if the bad things are going to happen, instead of, like you're saying, the opposite of, well, sure, if I'm going to ask what if and fill it in with a negative narrative, how about I ask what if and fill it in with the possibilities and all the and more than likely, it's going to turn out really, really well. More than likely. It might even exceed my expectations. And if I have then you have to go into defining what failure is, because even if
let's do that. That's fun.
Because like, even if it doesn't turn out the way I've constructed it in my mind, that doesn't mean it's a failure. It doesn't mean it turned out in a bad way. Like, yeah, speak on failure, because I'm big on like, redefine failure, people, because don't be trapped by that word.
Okay, so it's funny because I learned this from Jason Goldberg. I actually interviewed him on my YouTube channel. That's a good interview people can watch. So I read his book, The Prison Break. I always recommend that book. I mean, I actually read it 3 times, and then I reached out. He was the first author I reached out to. And when I reached out to him, I'm like, well, you give me the courage to reach out to you. I didn't even know he was going to say yes, but he's like, yeah, sure. It sounds exciting. Let's do it. I was like, okay, great. So one of the things that he mentioned in his book that I really loved was that, and that's the same thing with me. So he's a coach as well. So a lot of times when I ask, and it's a funny way that he puts it, and I say it in that way too, because it sounds good and sounds funny too. So tell me, what does failure mean to you besides bad? Because most people's idea of failure, it's bad, but they haven't really specifically defined what failure is. So here's a question that your audience can ask themselves. What's the worst that could happen if I did this?
I ask myself that question all the time. I always say worst case scenario. I'm like, I've got my health, I've got my family, we're good. Like,
There you go. Well, see that so your mind shifts towards the positive, but a lot of people might not have that. They haven't trained themselves to do that yet. But let's go towards the worst, not even towards the positive yet, because it's interesting when you follow a thought, and there's something you learn in philosophy. A lot of people make the mistake of leaving the thought halfway because they're scared of it. Okay. But as soon as you follow the thought to its ultimate, wherever it will go, then you start to notice that there's something positive that comes out of it. So here's the thing. So what's the worst that could happen? So you quit your job. What's the worst that could happen? Well, I have to cut back on some of my expenses. I might have to ask for some help. I might have to get another job until my business picks up if I'm going towards a business. I might have to not live too large for a while, and I might have to cut back on some partying or whatever else I do. And well, what else could happen? And you keep following that, and you actually, when you start doing that, you're like, oh, the word failure, that's like a boogeyman.
Yes.
It doesn't exist in reality. It's just that, okay, so what's going to happen? You're going to try, you're going to fall. You're going to try again, you're going to fall. You're going to fall 1,000 times. But this is where the actual failure is. Failure in reality happens when the person chooses to give up.
Amen. Amen.
If we're in the game, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. That's it.
If you're going to stick to it, and you can't, I teach this to my little students, for my teaching job. And that's what I tell them. Albert Einstein, actually, that's his quote, you never fail until